Head, and there he goes. Abyss gonna clean him up.
Olaf goes down. Everyone's just gonna line up here for Lazzy. He's gonna find himself the Quadra. Give it to him. Pentakill.
Priestley with the quad feed.
Gets the ace. Available, just spin to win all over.
That game was insane.
Hello everybody and welcome back to some Collegiate Rainbow Six action here on the Saints Gaming channel. My name as always is Shadi Zeddy Hanna, joined alongside Danners, Mr. Danners, Banners. I always have such a hard time figuring out what the best way to call you is. Probably come up with something short and sweet to do it. But it is going to be a game on Cafe here against Grand Canyon University. Now, Danners, you were telling me before the cast that these guys are a club team, but they seem to be pretty good.
Absolutely. We did a little bit of research, taking a look and seeing what this team is all about. And yeah, even though they're club, they have access to an esports arena. They do like community nights on whether it be casual or varsity level, like competition. As time and time again, this team, from what it sounds like, they're in a league not too long ago. I think it was CRA or something like that, placed second, and I believe we have the same team here tonight. So the Saints going to have quite the tough task up ahead of them here, but that just seems to be the name of the game here in this CollegiateR6 Premier League, where the Saints, they made it in, which is of course the first accomplishment, but now you're up against the big boys, and sometimes that can get extremely difficult. Let's see if the Saints can break that loss streak and find themselves on the right side of the win column here today.
Yeah, taking a quick look at these bans leading into it, nothing too surprising so far from what we've seen from both of these teams, really. Thatcher obviously coming out, that soft breach, good to get him off the board, moving into that Maverick ban as well. And, you know, Maverick is definitely one of those operators that we see quite frequently. Seems to be real annoying. He likes to put a thorn in people's side. Now, this is more of an interesting ban here, this fourth one. I'm going to talk about the Cade ban, you know. Also kind of fitting along the theme, but Wamai is... a little bit uncharacteristic from what we've typically seen in bans on this map.
Absolutely. It seems to be maybe something a little bit more personal on the side of... I think that would have been a Grand Canyon University ban, because normally, like, Wamai is basically Jaeger Light. Instead of completely destroying a piece of utility or a grenade or something like that, it will instead kind of redirect it to somewhere offward. Now, one thing to note here, Impact is sitting on the new operator Flores. That is a banned operator. You cannot use him yet, so if sure enough, the 6th pick is going to have to be used. And putting Impact onto Ash, that seems a little bit more standard, to say the least.
I was gonna say, I was looking at that operator list and I said, that's an interesting selection there, but it looks like we are going to switch things up, obviously. And now St. Clair's roster looks very familiar if you've been watching our streams and casts before. You know, very familiar with a lot of these aggressive picks. Actually, not a single one of these characters surprises me. I'm gonna be honest. Still getting comfortable with these operators, still trying to, you know, really get my mastery of these characters and how they function up. So it's a nice little blessing for me to see some familiar faces here in our first game. And on the side of Grand Canyon University as well, you know, most about everything seems pretty standard as well. I was a little intrigued by the Goyo pick, but it looked like he actually went in 6th pick that as well. So there's going to be a little bit of a swap up here. Going into game number 1 as St. Clair goes for their traditional approach. Going to see likely 5-man climb. Usually what we like to see from these guys on this point.
Yep, pretty well the standard. You, of course, have Zombie Dude on Sledge Duty, going to just blow up as many of those hatches as possible, get as much vision onto what's close to the site, because, of course, right now, Grand Canyon sitting on the 3rd floor, one of the more comfortable spots here on Cafe, especially starting off, which you'll oftentimes see is teams prefer 3rd floor than the 1st floor, just kind of bounce back and forth if they can. But if they are on a roll, you'll probably see that 2nd floor come into play, but well, time will tell as we hop on in here. Cheeks is picking up the Mozzie here, this time by an operator I know I didn't necessarily get the opportunity to tell you about, but basically similar to how Mute can stop a drone, Mozzie, instead of stopping it, he'll steal it for himself with his little pest control gadgets. So it's going to kind of restrict some of the vision here from St. Clair as they get ready to try and find which kind of pathway of attack they want to go for here in the Christmas room here for this 3rd floor.
Yeah, I mean, definitely interesting tech to see. I think we've seen the character picked up once or twice before in the CR6, but like you mentioned, it's a pretty heavy tech piece, not something you're going to see in most of the games that you play. I do like this approach from St. Clair. I like how they sent Bonk Bonk out for that initial flank, but it's now regrouped and we're moving up as that 5-man push, coming in through the 3rd floor, working their way down. St. Clair finally found location on Bomb A, so that's going to give them a nice little bit of intel here on how they want to take this approach. But so far, everything's pretty slow. You know, we talk about this 20-second meta, and St. Clair is gearing up for a pretty late bloodbath so far in this game. Just trying to scout out some vision and maybe look to get an early pick. Big Papa had the read, but just a little bit too far out of that sight line.
One of the things that I also mention here as well, we have, of course, Mend sitting here on the Clash, of course, the only defensive operator with a Riot Shield, going to just hold this corner and make things extremely difficult. This is normally where the Saints kind of want to push in, so it's not going to be the case. We even see Bonk Bonk there trying to use one of those air jabs to maybe get himself a free hit onto him. But meanwhile, Char's managed to find himself onto site, and sure enough, not going to get away with that one. I like the attempt, but not going to work this time.
Yeah, I saw that. I was waiting to call that out, but it's going to get shut down. Cheeks is going to go traded, however. So now it's a 4-for-4. Its impact gets dropped as well. He's going to get taken out by Klimps. Going to find the finishing blow. Now St. Clair trying to move in a little bit closer onto side A. They have vision, but Big Papa, he's going to drop as well. Klimps finding himself a double kill. Bonk Bonk under fire as well. They are able to pick up a 2nd kill as Zombie Dude finds himself that pick onto Klimps for the refrag. Now St. Clair kind of messed up a little bit by this barbed wire as they try to get in. That Riot Shield providing so much pressure. It's impossible for Bonk Bonk to fire through. He's going to drop as well. It just comes down to Zombie Dude. He is going to get taken out on the point. That's going to be GCU taking the win in round 1.
Just basically, eventually, everything lining up there for Grand Canyon University. I do believe there's one of those Malusi Banshee devices inside the site as well, because I was thinking to myself, why is St. Clair moving so slow here? But that would have been exactly why. Just could not make it through. You had, of course, Mend on the Clash as well. Has the Riot Shield, but that Riot Shield also electrifies you, zaps you a little bit as you try to move forward. So there's just nothing you can do. You could try to make a push towards that diffuser, but you're getting tagged the entire way through. And Saints just could not quite get it started. Char's almost found himself the diffuser plant, but ever since there, it went pretty well downhill.
Well, it looks like this time around, Colo is going to stick with the Goyo, and in fact, the 6th pick is going to swing back to Malusi. So nearly a full repeat on the side of GCU from their roster in game number 1. St. Clair obviously sticking with their strategy. You know, it doesn't work out the first time, but you have so much experience on this team. You've been playing with it nearly all year. It's a lot of comfort picks in this team, and it's just about kind of figuring out, you know, taking these first couple rounds to get some intel on your opponents and how they want to play. And, you know, don't blame the picks, blame the execution, at least for the time being, as St. Clair. Gonna stick with what they know. get themselves ready up for game number 2.
Absolutely, and all about the execution. I feel like Siege isn't that necessarily a point where there is like a must pick of sorts. I mean, there's probably plenty of people in the chat that would argue with me. I think maybe the closest thing we have to a must pick is Jaeger, just because his utility, even when nerfed, is still too damn good. Those ADSs, just to get rid of any sort of grenade or any sort of utility, is just too strong to pass up on, especially since Wamai, which is basically his counterpart, is banned here in this game. So I'm going to be probably seeing him quite a lot here. Now, even though this attack is on, or this defense rather, is on the first floor, you're going to see the Saints do the exact same start off, to say the least, as last time, going off to the rooftops, and they want to go from the 3rd floor and just clean sweep every floor, make sure there's nobody sitting there waiting to get the flank onto them, especially, like, say the Malusi, for example. They're with Cash. Very fast operator, very good at doing hit and runs, especially if you're stuck in a Banshee device. So, yeah, first floor, but you still have to go top down.
Yeah, it looked like there was a member of GCU that was peeking on that 3rd floor, maybe trying to get a pick. Unfortunately, Bonk Bonk, you know, on that anti-roam did go pretty low, so wasn't able to actually spot that out. And thankfully for the Saints, no one did end up getting picked off in general. They're going to be able to start things off nice and slow here. But working from the 3rd floor down really means that unless St. Clair is able to find an early pick on someone overextending, it's going to be a very active end of round as the Saints collapse on that 3rd floor, or on that basement rather, and go for that final push. You can already see the members starting to break into the room. Char is currently carrying the defuse, looking for a way down as his team kind of gives him some vision, tries to scope things out a little bit. Just provide some intel and really get things going and seeing if they can maybe find themselves an early pick.
Bit of an interesting change of style here for the Saints, seeing Bonk Bonk kind of the one leading the charge of sorts. First one onto the 2nd floor, because normally, pretty much all season, he'd be playing these anti-roamer kind of operators. He'd be picking up the Nomad and such, but he'd always be on the outside, kind of like the last one into the building, alongside Chars on the hard breach. But instead, going in basically head first, planting as many of those air jabs as possible, really predicting the roam. But to be honest, Grand Canyon just not going to give it to him, as we do see Zombie Dude doing exactly what he needs to be doing here with this sledge. This is always the dangerous part of this 1st floor hold, is the top-down attack from the Saints. So we'll have to see as we move on forward here. 30 seconds, Saints not giving them much time. This is going to end in the bloodbath, and Zombie Dude starts things off.
Yeah, it's a beautiful lead from Zombie Dude to find that opening, really taking advantage of the sledge. With 20 seconds left on the clock, Saints did a really good job of actually being able to find the bomb, just about actually making his way down in. But unfortunately, Char is going to get a little too close to that riot shield. He's going to get taken down by Klimps yet again. Big Papa taking some heat on the side as Klimps finds a double kill onto Impact. Now Bonk Bonk and a little bit of fire as well. Trying to fight through that riot shield, but it's just not going to happen. This GCU defense is just far too strong. Nearly all of the Saints members dropping, but Bonk Bonk is going to find the kill into Klimps. That's huge for Zombie Dude. Finds a pick onto Men, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to get that plant down. And GCU with the strong hold on that defense.
They just bought themselves so much time that it was impossible for the Saints to pull ahead, even when they were able to start kind of fragging out a little bit. The fact that you had the clash there, Ment was just holding that location, and for the longest time, Klimps was just right there for backup as well as one other member. I want to say it was Cheeks, but I could be wrong there. But there was always somebody there to back up the clash, so nobody could try and stun them out and make the run. You're just stuck there. Electrified riot shield and the diffuser right in front of it. Saints really put themselves into a rough corner. They nearly found their way out of it, but too little, too late, which is always the risk of doing these last second pushes, the high intensity, high execution, last 30 seconds style of gameplay. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and so far, a little bit of a slow start here for our Saints squad.
Yeah, Grand Canyon University so far have done an excellent job of just holding these really strong defenses. And like you said, like even if the Saints are able to outfrag, usually by the time that they're able to make it onto the point, just the pure stall provided by the clash Mend on that operator, it's so hard to actually break through and find those picks. And Zombie Dude and Bonk Bonk, you know, typically two of the players we see on this team that are going in and trying to find those picks early on in the round, they're just not able to do it through that riot shield. So definitely an interesting strategy from Grand Canyon that St. Clair's going to have to think about a little bit about how they want to approach that and be willing to adjust their playstyle to play around that defensive tech.
Absolutely, and as this round's just about to get on started, I do want to give everybody a thank you for boosting the stream with your channel points, getting this match even more and more eyes on it. Thank you so much for contributing to that bonus and joining us here tonight. Plenty of action still up ahead. Hoping to see our Saints turn this one around, but it's still extremely early. And
yeah,
for the most part this season, it seems like the Saints have been more comfortable on the defensive side of things. But that being said, we've seen too many times this season where they give up too many rounds on the attack. And it doesn't matter even like how good their defense is, they might have bled out just a little bit too much on the attacking side of things to get the ball rolling. So hoping to see that pattern change here. I feel like it's been like that for maybe the last 3-4 weeks or so. So hopefully getting to the drawing board, able to get them on the right side of things.
Yeah, it's only it's only round 3, rather. You know, you've got plenty of game left to play. And usually this first 2 rounds, especially against a team that you may not be super familiar with, they're a good opportunity to kind of get a feeling for the team that you're playing against. But that's going to be an early pickup from Bonk Bonk to really set things off for the Saints. Found Glimpse out on the side. I guess Glimpse might have been roaming a little bit. I don't believe the Saints have really reached through. However, they do finally have eyes on the clash. It's going to be the 1-for-1. Ash takes out Impact on the return kill there and really defend that. Now, men taking some heat as well as the Saints start to push in here onto the second floor.
That's
the zombie dude zoned off a little bit here.
Yeah, he's definitely in a bit of a pinch here, but that's the other thing you have to worry about. Men's really sticking to this clash, and the other thing that you don't really think about is that that clash this entire time is making out callouts. So the fact that Cash had basically all the information necessary to line up that nitro cell and just detonate it right under his feet from the floor below was a beautiful play to knock the Saints down one player. And of course, it is kind of interesting. Klimps, the first one down on the side of Grand Canyon, top fragger so far here in this game, but still evened up with a minute left. This is going to get nasty.
Well, I don't want to say anything too soon, Danners, but once you get hit with a play like that, it's very unlikely that you're going to let that happen to you again. So at least for the Saints, you know, this is a learning opportunity at best. Don't try to fight through the riot shield. Unfortunately, the zombie dude, he is going to get taken down as well, but Char's finding the return pickups. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade here in this game as we get closer and closer to that 20-second mark. 3 for 3 now for both of these teams. Clair do have eyes on bomb and on the member defending it. I believe that was Colo sitting on that bomb side of Clair. Going to try to get a little bit closer here for this approach.
Best case right now here for Clair because there is no nitro cells or any sort of late game utility available. But that being said, down one player, down the diffuser as well. This is not going to be going very well. Colo cleaning up house to take care of that one. Nicely done.
That's unfortunate. You lose out on the gunfight, then your teammate comes in and does the exact same thing. You know, got to take it a little bit slower and maybe look to coordinate that a little bit better. But it's going to be Colo popping off in the 1 versus 2. Finding himself and his team that round win, now going into round number 4. Saints, like you mentioned, you know, they give up a number of losses up on these attacking rounds. It'd be nice to see, you know, get themselves on the scoreboard and give themselves a little bit of better of an advantage going into halftime.
Yeah, the other thing to take note of too is because of the way the spans ended up working, Mira got let through, one of those extremely annoying operators to deal with. Those one-way mirrors can be quite the mind game, and just seeing them just puts fear into the eyes of an attacker, even if there's nobody on the other side, because you will never know. That's too devastating. And with this third floor defense, GCU is basically back in the comfort zone. They've basically done the defensive world tour here, finding a victory on all of the 3 main sites. Of course, 4 sites for defense, but you just can't go back to the same site that you've won on in regards to 2 rounds. You win on that site, then you have to wait 2 rounds before you go back. So you can always skip that really bad site that you don't want. But GCU winning on all 3. They're looking comfortable and maybe looking to start kind of running away with this one here on Irish Saints.
Yeah, you know, we'll take some time to really let things go through. This clash obviously is just doing absolutely incredible work. Men has done a great job of piloting that operator. So far has led them to victory all of these rounds. It's been one of the bigger threats, the more identifiable threats on the side of Grand Canyon University. But it is also important to note the value that the rest of these teams are bringing. Obviously, this Valkyrie from Cheeks, those drones or those cameras rather being able to provide all that extra vision and utility. Like I kind of feel like a lot of sympathy for the Saints because Grand Canyon always has eyes on them. Like they're never the first to get the jump. It's always Grand Canyon knowing what's happening before it happens to them. So definitely a huge disadvantage. Kind of fighting an uphill battle here for the Saints.
And with Mend here once again, by also picking up the Mira there with Colo, that's one more Nitro cell that you do have on the defensive side of things. Cheeks, Cash, and Colo now have that ability. If they can line up one of those Nitro cells, one of those like C4-esque kind of devices, with Mend just calling the shots, you can just easily find some quick picks here, turn this round into your favor basically for free, just because you can't blow through Mend whatsoever unless you get the flank or can somehow stun Mend up. But of course, Mend doing a solid job, sees the Saints players on the other side, just making sure that any possible angle is covered so that shield is constantly where it needs to be.
That's an early bomb scope up from the Saints, however. They do have vision on A site now, I believe, so they're already starting to make their way down there. You can see Big Papa trying to get a little bit more vision. He whips that drone through the doorway. Now Charge going for the plant here, completely covered by the smoke, but he's going to get taken out by Cheeks. A beautiful shot through the smoke to actually find that kill, and Grand Canyon ends up picking themselves 2 for 1. St. Clair trying to get a cheeky plant, and they went for something a little ambitious, but it's just not going to pay off. Now Impact getting taken down by Colo as well. The Saints look so good, and now it just looks so bad. 1 minute left. However, Zombie Dude and Bonk both finding themselves a kill in this game. It's not out yet. It's not all wrapped up yet. The Saints do have an opportunity to get on that point. They don't currently have the diffuser in hand. Maybe they can get themselves around this corner, look for another pick, as Zombie Dude taking things very slowly, very cautious right now in this 2v2.
If Saints could take out Cheeks, that will be the round, because of course the 2-on-1 as a clash is an absolute nightmare. So you can only really focus on one side, just get the flank and you're good. But with Cheeks alive, you can never properly flank that clash. So we're going to have to see 30 seconds left here for the Saints to get something done. All Nitro cells are gone, of course, taking out the Saints prior to. But we'll have to see. Back and forth battle here between the Saints and GCU with a couple seconds left, and it's looking like a rough one. 1-on-1, here we go.
It's going to be big. Zombie Dude facing against the Riot Shield. He's going to have to go for the plants, and Man's going to round the corner. Zombie Dude getting up to contest. There's only 6 seconds left. Is he going to be able to get this plant off? He's going to have to try, but I don't think he has the time left. That should be the round for GCU. Actually, the plant continues. There's going to be Men finding the headshots around that one out.
That's just it.
I was like, there's no way that happen. Unlucky situation for Zombie Dude, not 1v1.
No, as the clash there, you just wait long enough to the point where as soon as you know that they're not going to try and fake you, that they have to stick the plant, otherwise they lose the round anyway, then you whip out the sidearm, put the shield away, and then finally finish them off. Because yeah, the way you lose that one is just like getting overeager, they fake you and blast you. So just by waiting, being nice and patient, Mend, you can tell, I don't want to call him a one-trick here, but you can tell that this clash is definitely his defensive main. Because no matter the site, no matter like the positioning, always sticking to that clash, and right now the Saints are having a hell of a hard time trying to breach through it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and I don't even know if I want to call it a one trick or even a main. I think it's just they know it's working, and the Saints have no idea how to beat it. They're just going to stick with it until it fails. And so far, I mean, 4-0 already to start things off going into round 5. That's a huge lead for Grand Canyon University. Regardless, they've already won the half. No matter how this ends, they've already pulled themselves a round lead. St. Clair, it's really about salvaging as much as you can, going into that half, going into that side switch, trying to get as many rounds under your belt, and hope that you just play defense better than you're playing offense.
Absolutely. That being said, though, they're not going to give themselves a lot of wiggle room if this pace keeps going. We've seen constantly, time and time again over the past like 4 weeks or so, where the Saints would go down, say, 5-1 or 4-2, and only leave themselves like room for like 2 or 3 rounds of flawed defense, and that's never a position you want to be in. Of course, try and keep it as even as possible. Granted, of course, majority of players will say like the attacking side is harder on pretty much every map, which is fair. That being said, though, going without a round or with only 1 round on the attacking side of things is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints have kind of stuck with this offensive plan, and they're going for it every single time, and it's what they're comfortable on, but you also have to be willing to make adjustments, especially this into this Riot Shield, finding new ways to attack these points, you know, set up those flanks, maybe even take more advantage out of this Nomad and this anti-roamer and see if you can really force GCU to come and approach you by taking really good, well-coordinated flanks and approaches here. Already the Saints, however, very early into this round are going to drop. Big Papa finds and scopes out Cash, and Impact is going to be able to finish that shot, that kill off. It's going to be a one-man lead already for St. Clair as they move farther and farther down into this building here.
That's one of your nitro cells gone too as well. So big piece of utility gone there on the side of Grand Canyon. Granted, however, they do of course the Goyo. So Colo and Cheeks both have the nitro cell still available. And we did kind of see in that last round as well, the smoke and then plant attempt from Chars. It's a good play, but what completely shuts that down is just being able to whip a nitro cell into there and then push the button, and it just has so much area of effect that it's going to get the kill anyway. So you don't have to be pinpoint accurate, you'll still get it. So getting rid of any nitro cell is absolutely huge, and we see exactly that. Not necessarily in perfect point of view, but Bonk Bonk does go down to the nitro cell, gets called out and taken down to even this back up 4-4.
They know that this bomb has to be a little bit lower, so they're making their way closer and closer down to the basement. They haven't exactly found where exactly it is. They're taking their time to really get that scoped out as they move closer and closer. You know, not really willing to commit the drones yet. They want to see if they can get bodies on the point first, which I think is a good choice considering how these games have played out. Unfortunately, Saints making a little too much noise. Clemson's is going to find that pickup. Zombie Dude does get the refrag, however, so we're back to an even score, 3 for 3, but this clash is still on the board and there's only 47 seconds left. St. Clair really needs to pull it together and find a way to how they're going to deal with this riot shield, but that's absolutely huge. Zombie Dude's going to get dropped and taken out by Cheeks as well. Your top fragger is gone. It's Impact and Chars against the world here. 30 seconds left on the clock as Chars trying desperately to make his way down into the basement, but he's just not able to find that angle, and so far GCU looks completely unfazed by this attack.
Of course, that's always the rough thing about just using the sledgehammer on the floors. It's a two-way street of sorts, and sure enough, the Saints are going to try and go for the exact same play. Way too obvious. Grand Canyon ready and waiting. Men's there on the defense, and the other player was right there behind them. You're just basically a lemming off the cliff at that point. Just gets absolutely mowed down. Grand Canyon's domination of this defense here on Cafe continues as we're just about to get at halftime after this round, but 5-0 so far for Grand Canyon University. Absolutely crushing it here.
You know, Danners, as soon as we see a map switch and we set Grand Canyon back on defense, how much you want to bet that Clash is getting banned?
Oddly enough, it very well may. Like
it's single-handedly destroying St. Clair's attacks. They just can't approach this shield. It's too much pressure. They're so good, this team. We've seen them all the time. They win out on these 1v1s and these duels, and they find these gunfights, and that's how they make their picks. But how are you supposed to gunfight into a riot shield? Like, it completely counters their style of play. So GCU, the huge read to lead things off.
Well, I mean, I'm no expert, but I think I understand at least one point of dealing with a riot shield of some sort, and it's not jumping into a very narrow corridor with one doorway.
I agree. I'm not saying it's being played optimally, but we also have to recognize that this is a collegiate environment. You know, the players that are playing, they're really good at the games, but they haven't mastered every single situation and experience. And because of that, you know, preference does dictate a lot of how the game plays out. So if you know you're a really big pick maker, and that's your style and your approach, like riot shields might not be your best friend. So finding ways of getting rid of them or getting around them are definitely a high priority. We move into round number 6 now. St. Clair not going to surprise us with anything too much here as they go for this lead up. I would like to see maybe this sledge getting a little bit more value here. They were able to do some pretty funky things with it 2 rounds ago, getting some nice little shots onto the wall and finding some unique openings. And you know, maybe if you can get creative with Zombie Dude on that sledge and find yourself an early pick onto those nitro cell carriers, might be able to get a better attacking advantage here on round number 6.
And Cash going to find a nice quick one onto Bonk Bonk with just that little bit of roam. Of course, on the Vigil, looking for those roams, he's finally going to get refragged over. But still, the 1-for-1 value, I think Grand Canyon will take that just fine.
Yeah, especially when you've been doing so well on defense, you can give yourselves even a one-man lead. It's absolutely huge because you know you already have that positional advantage of getting yourself established on point and kind of having the first say in a lot of these duels. Definitely helps your gunfights out a lot. You can see now Clair Char's still on that defuse carry, looking to get himself into the building. I believe that was Big Papa still above, hanging out, chilling, or Zombie Dude rather. As Big Papa kind of leads the charge here onto the inside. He does get found out a little bit. He's going to go for a little bit of a fight, but he's going to get taken out by Colo with the flank from the ground below. Beautiful flank from Colo to round out that kill. And Clair trying to breach through this doorway, but there is a member of GCU there, and it's going to be Mend on the clash. Just watch how the Saints run away in fear from that Riot Shield, completely turned away from that defensive utility. It's just impossible for them to break through the point. They're going to have to back off here with only a minute remaining on the clock.
Absolutely brutal here so far. This style coming out here from Grand Canyon, a little bit less pick-oriented, but that being said, still so far so effective. However, Impact going to eventually find one here. So 2 members on the Saints, extremely low. To be honest, this is actually where Men could just go in with the electricity on that shield and just clean up Chars and probably clean up Impact. When the electricity from the clash can kill you, that's when a lot of hope kind of goes away here. And you still have to deal with Climps and Cheeks as well. Going to be a rough one, but let's see how the Saints go. And Zombie Dude goes down.
Oh, that's absolutely huge. Zombie Dude gets taken out, and so does Impact as well. Chars is alive, but he's only got 2 HP remaining. Impact did manage to find a triple kill. It's a 1 versus 1. But Chars gets tagged even once, and he's going to drop. He's got to get this plant down fast, and he's trying desperately to start, but he's going to make too much noise. Mend is going to be able to find him, and that's going to be the round. Grand Canyon University moving up to 6-0 here in this first half.
Absolutely brutal there. And of course, once the clash can kill you, it's just a bad time because you can't even try to get elusive. You can't take a shot to try and get the flank or anything. No, you're just going down. So unfortunately there for Saints, definitely having some moments of brilliance mid-round, but just not quite coming to an end. And it's a little bit heartbreaking for some of the players because I know, like, Zombie Dude's been popping off this game, and I feel like we haven't mentioned him at all. Sitting there with 7 eliminations, like tied for second across the whole board, across the entire game. But unfortunately, just these eliminations are just coming up short, just constantly, like 1 or 2 kills away from finding themselves around. And now there just needs to be one solid attack from the side of Grand Canyon University, and then Cafe is going to be a wash. We'll have to see if they can find themselves the perfect game right around the corner, if they can make this attack stick.
Yeah, Clair now on the defensive side. Sides have flipped. Again, very similar composition to what GCU was running, obviously, with the exception no clash present. And we'll see if it's a clash diff, Danners. We'll see if that really was the difference all along at the end of this round, what really dictates how this game plays out. As you mentioned, Zombie Dude has been playing, pretty well considering the circumstances. It's really about inspiring the rest of your team to find those openings and get themselves on the scoreboard. Some of the usual big names that we see in these games, like Big Papa, usually does an incredible job of finding these picks and early on in the game, but haven't seen that from him yet. Like to see him maybe show up on the scoreboard just a little bit more. Teams get navigating through Christmas Wonderland here. Grand Canyon going to make their way onto the point as 5 and take a slightly unique approach here. Haven't seen this too much. Usually our Saints like to go a different way. It's going to be a more roundabout approach as they come up from the side here. They're still going to make their way down. Looks like they're going to go from top down as well. Dennis, explain maybe the relevance of taking that distinctive start point for GCU.
Distinctive start point in regards to what exactly? I might have missed this spot that you're talking about.
They're load in. They loaded in at a different spawn point than what we typically see the Saints, and it looked like they were going for a bit of a side flank approach as opposed to coming in head on, which is what we usually see. I just thought it was interesting being that alternative lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well could have a better meaning. Unfortunately, it's personally not as much specific knowledge in regards to that one, but that's
good.
Okay, at the end of the day, you do end up pretty much at the same place, up on that rooftop, and start making your way down once again. And that's exactly what we are going to see. And then honestly, real quick, shout out to Mend. He seems to be the ultimate support player. You pick the Riot Shield, who's never really going to find himself on the kill board. Then you're also the hard breacher, who hardly ever finds himself in a gunfight. That is an ultimate support player here in R6. Just absolutely killing it here for this GCU squad.
We love our supports, man. They do great work for us, and you know, they often go undervalued. We like to grade our players based on their abilities to find themselves on the scoreboard. And speaking of scoreboard, it's going to be Big Papa finding the first kill of the round here. But definitely, you know, providing a lot of utility to your team. You know, like I was saying, typically players are assessing their ability to win out on gunfights, but that's not the only value you provide to your team. There's a lot more you can do, and so far the Saints providing tons of value to their team. That's going to be Zombie Dude finding a pick. Now 4 for 2 for the Saints as Bonk gets the refrag on Cash, and St. Clair might be a defensive diff, Danners. That looked pretty strong from the Saints. A 4-0 defense coming up from St. Clair. Almost impossible for Grand Canyon to actually approach the point.
Absolutely. That one actually looked like a different team entirely, to say the least here. But that being said, though, sure, your defense looks good, but it just takes one bad round, and all of a sudden the game is done. We know that our Saints are very strong in regards to playing when the hot seat's underneath them. We've seen this from the League team. We've seen this from Rocket League as well. Once the match point is threatened, all of a sudden it's like a switch just clicks and they go absolutely nuts. But again, it's a very all-in kind of style. And as of right now, if this actually sticks, this might be a little bit interesting as we see the Fuse hover that is locked in. We hardly ever get to see Fuse in competitive in general, let alone in collegiate. So this is going to be something I'm going to be personally keeping an eye on. And to be honest, with this first floor defense, I think that is going to be a solid pick.
I do like this Vigil coming out for Bonk. I think it really plays into exactly how the Saints want to play. Just finding those early picks. That said, you're playing a roamer into one of the more acclaimed, popular anti-roamers, being that Nomad as well. Those air blasters are going to be make it very difficult to get yourself around. That being said, you know, you were telling me a little bit about Vigil's interactions before. He's able to kind of get through a lot of the scoping and intel. How does that work with those air blasters from the Nomad? Does he have an advantage into that 1v1?
I believe it does not matter. If he pops his gadget and he goes across an air jab, he's still getting blasted. It's just a matter of avoiding cameras and whatnot. So if he makes his presence known, however, and then like Cash fires the air jab, I do believe it's too little too late. Chat, by all means, feel free to correct me if I am wrong on this one, but I believe that is the case. I don't think you can walk past an air jab with the Vigil gadget activated, as we do see him on the move, and we see like the little bit of alliance, the modified camera of sorts here. That's how you know that he's got his gadget activated, but it can't be put on forever. It has to recharge.
Absolutely. You know, it wouldn't be a collegiate esports league if we weren't learning something, and that includes your broadcast team. So thank you for having patience with us as we work through this all together. Definitely not my main game, but it's something I want to get a little bit more comfortable with, and that's going to be Mend. His camera getting spotted out by the Saints is going to get taken down as well. So, you know, lose a lot of that utility. However, Clips, first kill on the board, finds that pick onto Bonk. So it is going to be the roamer on the side of St. Clair. That Vigil we were talking about does get taken down quite early on in the round. Minute 45 remaining as Grand Canyon tries to approach this point.
Definitely rough, however. Oh, huge wall bang actually coming out here from Klimps again. Going to find himself his second one. As, of course, the breaching charge is available to kind of do similar to what Sledge would be doing, trying to get that top-down angle. However, of the Saints that are alive here, we see 3 Nitro cells available. If they could find this and make it stick, that could definitely turn things around. However, they are pressured from the Fuse from Cheeks. Being able to stick that grenade mortar shell, basically, is going to make things brutal. And he finds himself, I think, a double with his gadget. That is absolute best-case scenario. Grand Canyon University finishing things off with the Fuse. Damn, that's stylish.
As an incredible round from Grand Canyon University. An excellent lead-off to start things off. The double kill coming up from Klimps. You know, that MVP really for the game did an incredible job on top fragging really for his team. You know, like I said, those fraggers, those top kill scorers, they're always the ones leading up on the scoreboard. They're always the ones that we're clapping and applauding for, but you really can't go out of this without recognizing the value that men provided for Grand Canyon University. Did an incredible job on the defense, single-handedly winning them the half. And then at the switch, you know, providing that utility, as you mentioned, swapping over to the ace and doing even more utility stuff. Like, you know, you gotta give props to that. If you can be a support player in an FPS like our R6, it takes a lot of patience for sure.
Absolutely. I know even when players are first starting out this game, it's a big wake-up call. You go in starting to try and run and gun of sorts, and then all of a sudden you're getting shot from areas you don't even know is even possible. So just the game in general is such a patient shooter. And then the way that GCU was playing this was just even that much more slowed down and patient, except for that very final attack, the complete tempo switch with the fuse play, which I absolutely loved. Their Saints knew it was coming. It wasn't 6 picked over, but just did not have an answer for it again. And it just seems to be the case where if it's like a meta on meta kind of battle, Saints do okay. But as soon as you throw a wrench into it that you're actually really good at performing and executing on, they look like they're in trouble. And hopefully as we get ready to go into game number 2, they'll be a-okay moving forward, because of course we do have Clubhouse, another one of those maps that Saints have basically played to death so far in this season. But of course it's a very popular map that both teams would have basically played to death. So it excites me but worries me at the same time. What does Grand Canyon University have for Clubhouse?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you can practice the strategy and a composition to death, but if you're not prepared for some of the more flexible options, and especially not necessarily just like off meta, but just something that you don't see as often, it's definitely something you'll want to work into your practice regimen so you can get a little bit more comfortable with some of those picks. I guess that's really the biggest downside to this. You have to recognize it is a collegiate league. Players aren't playing 40 hours a week. They're playing whatever practice time they have for the week, and sometimes all you have the time for is to practice that one strategy and really perfect the hell out of it. Like you mentioned, we've seen some incredible performances from the Saints this season. Unfortunately, game 1 just wasn't one of them. And it is what it is, and you move on into game number 2. But Grand Canyon so far doing an incredible job. Like, as we mentioned, club team, but a very strong club team. And they're really showing up for their school.
It just goes to show just this style that they're pulling off. It's so well rehearsed that, like, sure, like everyone's got to deal with their collegiate schedules or college schedules while playing collegiate and whatnot. But the style that they have, regardless of what is supposed to be strong here, it's just so well practiced that it doesn't matter. And we're going to see them try and take that into Clubhouse as well. I'm curious if Clash will come back out or if they have something completely different. But
it's getting banned.
It's probably getting banned. That's fair. Other than the Clash, however, do you switch anything else up?
It's hard to say. I mean, you're asking probably the worst person you could have asked that question to. But I mean, every other ban we saw was exactly what we've expected from this team all season. It was very straightforward. Operators that don't really get to see play in a competitive environment just because of how oppressive they are. I think the Clash is just more one of those respect bans. Like, you recognize you literally handed 6 rounds over because of that pick. That is a big hit to take. And I think it's one of those things where you kind of, this is just something we're not very good into playing against. Something we need more practice with. We'll sack a ban this time around. We'll deal with something that we're a little bit more confident around, and it may be a little bit trickier to beat, but at least we understand it. And I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it, right? You're always asking me from my coach's perspective. I have no problem giving a respect ban every now and again if the enemy team has shown that they have that capacity.
This makes things interesting, however, because when we do get ready to go into game 2, if we are going to see a Clash ban, it means that that Mirror is still going to be available. Echo is still going to be available. And who do you get rid of between Cade and Wamai, who got banned last game? Who do you let through? Personally, I think you kind of just let the Wamai slide. However, I do believe that was the ban on the side of
it was
GCU. So, like, for the Saints side of things, do you get rid of the Cade and know that you're going into Clubhouse with the possibility of dealing with 2 operators that can play with electricity? That's actually kind of difficult to deal with. Constant bandit tricking or Cade tricking is going to be prominent here in this one. So definitely going to look forward to seeing what the Saints end up doing. But I do need a quick second to actually set up this lobby. So we're going to throw this to a very, very quick 5-minute break, and we'll hop back into the swing of things as soon as we're in the pick and ban phase.
Welcome back, Saints Nation. We are back with some Collegiate Rainbow Six. Not the longest 5-minute break ever. We kind of debated you a little bit, so we hope you're still here with us. And if you're just joining us now, it's going to be St. Clair College versus Grand Canyon University. Took the L 1-7 in game number 1. Grand Canyon really pulled up with an incredible defense to lead things off. And now seeing St. Clair going into game number 2. These bans so far, it's just the Thatcher. See it just about every single time we see this team play. No surprises there so far. See if GCU taking away, that is going to be the Jackal. The really smart ban from GCU. We talked about how Saints really like to play these roamers, and it is going to be Jackal getting taken out very early on in this ban phase. It has to be the Clash now, Deltanders. It just has to. Can't be anything else.
Yeah, we'll see, because GCU can probably throw the Cade or throw the Wamai back into the swing of things right here. And actually, it's going to get rid of Malusi, so fair enough. Can get rid of one of those speedier operators. But now, in theory, if Saints want to pull the Respect ban and take care of the Clash, they have to do it right here. Otherwise, they're going to have to deal with it yet again.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I couldn't remember. I actually missed who was banning third. I thought the Saints put the Clash through, but we've got one more shot at it. 1 second left. And it is going to be the Clash ban. Let's go. All right, Caster's curse is broken. The call out from a mile away. I'm not a Clash man, I swear, says man. Yeah, okay, big guy. He did incredible on it game number 1, though. Doesn't really matter. It's got to get banned away. So Saints recognizing their weaknesses, and as a coach, got to give respect to a team that's able to just say, hey, we're not good at this. We're not good at this thing. We need to find a way out. And they found a way out. No more Clash, for at least for this game. And should change the dynamic quite a bit. Obviously, the Saints going to start off on defense here. But once we get into that second half, seeing that Clash gone away, maybe the attack might look a little bit cleaner from St. Clair, as both these 6 picks are going to get used here, flipping into the Legion and the Habana, respectively.
Yeah, of course, this time by now we get to see the Saints just start things off on defense where they looked a little bit more comfortable, at least with the short couple of rounds that we did see, but we actually have ourselves a bit of a cheeky play starting off, no pun intended, because it is actually Cheeks picking it up here, but it's going to be the Monty coming out from Cheeks. So Saints were having fun with Riot Shields on the defensive side of things, while the offensive side of things have way more shields to play with, and Monty is probably the most oppressive of all of them. Basically full body shield available when he does finally activate his ability. Basically an impenetrable wall, and it's very strong at trying to get through this doorway here and go up the catwalk into the bomb site itself. And of course, just have somebody trail along with you, or a little bit of cover fire from the balcony, and it's just an absolute terror for St. Clair to try and deal with.
Yeah, one thing I always find super interesting whenever we see games here on this map is that Maverick always gets let through because neither team wants to lose it. No, every team wants to have that Maverick for attacking that second floor, getting up and burning through those walls. You can already see men getting to work, burning up these walls, trying to get some vision for his team. Didn't look like he had anyone covering him, though, so could be an opportunity for Saints to go for some counterfire. And you can see Cash on the side trying to break through, but however, there is going to be a Saints member right behind the wall there. I don't believe they spotted each other. If that flank actually ends up coming out, they're just going to hide out in the corner there. I don't know who that is exactly, but they're just chilling, just waiting. This Clash makes a ton of noise on the other side of the wall. Now the Saints going to do a little bit of damage. They are going to scope out Cheeks a little bit here, but that shield coming down for the 1 versus 1 charge going to win out the battle against Cheeks. So that Riot Shield getting taken out very early in the round. Clips, however, did find Big Papa. So it is a 4 for 4. The charge doing an incredible job taking out that shield so early.
I mean, I'm not sure if the Saints seen it or had it the feeling coming, because they did 6-pick over Big Papa to the Legion, which is basically Monty's worst fear, because you can sit there with that shield all you want, but you're just going to take constant damage over time with those needles in you. That being said, it's starting to get bloody here with the last minute and a half here. Really starting to get interesting. Bonk, bonk, and impact. Last hopes for Saints.
Yeah, 2 versus 3. It's still very doable for the Saints. They have that positional advantage being on defensive side. However, Colo does have the bomb in hand, but it is going to be Men finding a double kill. It's a 3 versus 1 now. He's going to drop incredibly low impact, not able to clean up that kill. They still have that third man for that offense, and Cholo is going to look for the plants. If they can get this down, this is going to be absolutely huge for Grand Canyon. Take things slowly. That is going to be the defuse getting set up as Impact goes for the Nitro Cell underneath the ground, but it's not going to connect. He's going to get taken out in the back by Klimps. GCU is going to walk away with the round winning game number 2.
Honestly, valiant effort there from St. Clair and for Impact as well. Hopping on to the bottom, but he was just a little bit too slow to stop the defuse itself. But that being said, even if he was able to stop that defuse, it looks like the other player on the side of GCU had a rough idea of where he was going, took him down nice and quick anyway. But again, just an overall solid start here for GCU, going to force Saints to try something different. Instead of trying to do CCTV again, we're going to take it to the basement, see how they can go from there.
Going to be the Cade getting picked up for Big Papa. We talked about this being potentially a pick that they might let through, but it is going to be the Cade getting locked in now for the side of St. Clair. Really strong defensive utility. You were explaining to me a little bit, but all the value that this character provides, that constant, I believe, electrical damage. You mentioned to be quite frustrating on these maps. Can you explain a little bit about the value of the Cade pick here, rather?
Sure, I'll try and show it the best I can here, actually, right here. Because basically, the difference here with Cade compared to a Bandit is where these reinforced hatches are. You kind of see one right here above the B site. There's another one that's probably going to be reinforced right around here. Instead of that just being a sitting duck that you can use soft breach on, you'd have to use a hard breach if you end up reinforcing it. Then you throw the Cade Claw on top of it, electrifies it. So Silos, Hibana would not be able to use X-Kairos pellets to breach through it, and it just makes it a little bit more irritating. It would force Mend there on the Maverick to try and dance around the electricity with the blowtorch and try to fry it open, but that takes so much more time compared to just launching some X-Kairos pellets and calling it a day.
Right, and the amount of time that you take obviously leaves you more vulnerable to those roamers and flankers that St. Clair is like to attack so far. However, it's going to be a slightly different approach here from Mend. He goes around and tries to get a different attacking angle here to this point. It's going to come from the underground, it looks like. He's slowly going to scope things out and get his way through. He carves himself a nice little doorway here, and you go. One more blowtorch should do it, and that's going to knock that door open, but in fact, he's just going to end up regrouping with his team as Big Papa on the Cade, the first to drop in this round. That's going to be absolutely massive. Grand Canyon is able to break their way through now 5 versus 4 here, round number 2.
And now, of course, we see Cheeks picking up the Monty once again, but this time, instead of course, having to go up a catwalk, you can still do pretty much the exact same thing here in the dirt. This is a very narrow corridor that this full body shield of Monty can just completely cover. To just clear out a little bit. Mend actually with a huge grenade to just take care of zombie dude just like raw like that. So damn, this is just not going good for the Saints to start things off once again. The cavalry is about to return. You'll probably see some of the members of Grand Canyon look to drop in just a second. Speaking of players dropping, however, Chars gets taken down. Diffuser is being planted as well. CeeLo in position. Saints have a hard one on their hands.
Yeah, this looks absolutely massive for Grand Canyon. The Saints are able to find a counter kill, but it's going to be the refrag coming up from Cash. Bonk goes down, now Impact against the world, and he's going to be the next to fall. Grand Canyon University showing up huge this offensive, taking a 2-round lead now over St. Clair. And, you know, we talked about it being a clash diff, but it's starting to look like a team diff a little bit. This team is really just outskilling and outmatching St. Clair, and these riot shields, they're very frustrating. You can already see that Monty immediately locked in by Cheeks again. Like, these guys, they found out what makes St. Clair angry, and they're just going to lock it in as often as they can. And, I mean, all power to you if it's working.
Absolutely. Just unfortunately here for St. Clair, Monty is very good at both of the main defending places. Because, of course, sent him through dirt on the basement church, and he's basically impenetrable. Same thing with the catwalk on CCTV. A little bit more vulnerable, but at the same time, take the catwalk in a relatively narrow area unless you can get them from below. And it's still so difficult. If anything, I feel like Saints just need to have some sort of answer for it. And in theory, that answer is Legion. But does that completely throw off their the rest of their strategy for their defense? And I guess actually Big Papa trying a different way of trying to deal with it as well with the Ella. Of course, the Gersbont mines, it's basically a concussion mine. You walk into that as a Monty, you do get stunned, and I believe your shield gets put aside, leaving you kind of wide open for at least a couple of seconds. So another way to try and deal with it. Saints are trying to adjust, but I'm hoping that this time will be the charm, because they need something to go their way in regards to the momentum. Otherwise, we could see something very similar to what we saw in game number 1.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really difficult to talk about the difficulties in execution from the Saints. One, because I have a very difficult time understanding what the hell's happening as I'm doing my best that I can. But two, it also just looks like in general, Grand Canyon is doing an incredible job of just kind of making hard reads on the Saints. Like, you can see the way that they dramatically shift their attacking approaches between rounds and are able to make reads on the Saints' movements kind of before they do. I guess one of the biggest downfalls, the observer's curse, you could call it, is that we have so much more intel than the players. So a play that looks super obvious for us, obviously not being that obvious for the players, can't see through walls, unfortunately. Not a tech that they have available to them. So the Saints, going to do the best they can to get as much intel as possible just by using their bodies and cameras. But it's tricky right now. It's really tricky. Grand Canyon is doing an incredible job of holding this attack and really putting the pressure down on the Saints.
I mean, Char's here on the pulse is probably the closest thing the Saints have to seeing through the walls there with that heartbeat sensor. But of course, that requires him to actually have players somewhat nearby him, and then being able to relay that information over to his teammates, because they're not going to see the same pings that he does. Try and see if we can actually see these heartbeat sensor at work. Sure enough, we are going to see it here. Those little pings. He's going to be calling this out constantly to his team, if not trying to make a nitrocell kill for himself. See pinging it out, maybe be able to find himself shot, especially if this does happen to be Cheeks above him. If you can just kill him via the nitrocell, that'd be huge. That being said, though, it looks like it was actually Klimps as Zombie Dude takes him down.
Beautiful pick to lead things off for the Saints. That 5 versus 4 man advantage. Looks like they have eyes on Cheeks. You can see 3 members kind of slowly hanging around below him, but it is going to be Cheeks actually finding the pick onto Bonk Bonk, winging out in the 1v1 as Big Papa, nervous to make that round around the corner. Has eyes on Cheeks. Is he going to go for this 1v1? Cheeks slowly moving through. Impact is able to find the pick onto Cash, but Colo, Mend as well, able to find 2 picks now, so that's Impact and Zombie Dude going down. It's just going to be Chars and Big Papa left. Chars with the heartbeat sensor still is going to do his best to provide that intel to Big Papa. Big Papa tries to take that 1v1, but he's not going to be able to do it into the Riot Shield. Gonna have to find a new way in, but Colo's gonna take advantage of the space and go for that plant that's nearly gonna go down here. That is gonna be the defuse getting dropped by St. Clair, and Big Papa losing the 1v1 against Men on the Maverick. Actually, not the 1v1, the flank kill. The Maverick, rather. He was going in for the 1v1 on Cheeks, just wasn't able to find that damage. Now Chars gets scoped out immediately on his way to the point. A huge round from Colo, finding the defuse and the final pick to round it out. And Grand Canyon University taking that win very convincingly.
Gosh, every point of attack covered, and oftentimes multiple angles just covered by the shield once again here. I know we've been beating this point to death, but it just seems like it's a play that the Saints are just not used to in the slightest. And by Menden game 1, being able to mess with them on the defensive side of things, that was huge. And now it's Cheeks' turn to mess with the Saints as GCU 3-0, just absolutely on a roll, and they're doing this good on the attacking side of things. That's extremely scary if you're here for the St. Clair squad, because right now it just seems like this Grand Canyon University squad is just on another level.
You say it's scary, but you got to remember that Riot Shield's already been banned away on defense. So the Saints' biggest weakness been eliminated from the game. There is going to be an opportunity for a comeback in that defense once at the halftime. I can already feel it for the Saints, but getting 2 there, figuring out how to play against this Riot Shield. I'd almost like to see the Saints just ignore Cheeks. If you see him, just walk the other way. And don't try to set up a flank for yourself, because you know that that's how GCU's been doing every time. They've been doing this very systematically. The Riot Shield holds a point. As soon as he scopes out an individual, he follows them around, chases them around, and then all the meanwhile is calling out intel, like you said, right? While that shield's out, communicating that intel, and the flank comes out and boom, it's a 2v1. And, at some point you just got to pick up on that and say, okay, well, let's ignore the Riot Shield. Where's this flanker at? See if I can find this flanker instead.
Now going into this next attack, we do see Saints trying a different strategy in regards to trying to deal with Cheeks on this Monty. Instead of Actually, they're just doubling down, and to be honest, I don't mind it. You have to deal with both Big Papa sitting there with the Legion and the Goo Mines, but you also have to deal with Bonk Bonk here on the Goyo, of course, with those shields that you shoot and can basically just set the floor ablaze. And that's exactly the last thing that Amati would want, because he is not a fast individual, to say the least. You can see, definitely going to take their time. They don't want to hit one of those mines, but going to wait until his partners up on the balcony are ready as well, and they're all going to probably move together.
Gonna take things nice and slow. It's been working out so far, but as you can already see, those Goyo flames getting dropped. Chars, however, is the first to drop, and the Grand Canyon University do have eyes on that second member of St. Clair. Big Papa is going to fall. Now in the 5 versus 3, you can see Cheeks pulling out those poison darts from his feet, trying to avoid that overtime damage. As you mentioned, a huge disability for that tankier operator, the 1v1. Now Bonk Bonk does have vision on Cheeks, but it's not going to be enough to do any damage. Obviously that shield up, you can't really fight through that. They're just going to have to wait, see if they can find themselves a better opportunity here. Grand Canyon starts to make their move. I don't believe they've spotted out the bomb yet, but they're getting very close. With over 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining, it should be an opportunity for an attack here.
Yeah, we're going to see these pellets come on through. This is just going to be the extra entryway that Cheeks would need to actually get through there, because you can assume that that doorway is probably just littered with goo mines, right? So why not make your own doorway and just avoid everything and move on to the site basically for free? So we do see Cheeks diffuser on its way. It's going to be up to Impact and Zombie Dude to try and make the play.
The 2 versus 3, however, Impact is able to find the pickup onto Cheeks, who actually didn't manage to finish the plant. That's absolutely huge for St. Clair. But it does get picked back up by Colo, as Impact has to get himself out of dodge. They're going to go for the replant now. Impact trying to make himself closer to point. Does get the double flank there, but Zombie Dude is going to get dropped. And now Impact in the 1 versus 2.
Ooh.
30 seconds remaining. The triple kill from Impact. Can he clutch this up? It's the 1 versus 1. Mend on the Maverick. He's going to try to get the plant. Impact going to be able to find him out here before that goes down. Doesn't have vision quite just yet. Maverick is going to be able to round that out, but Impact is going to be able to find him, get the kill, and close out the round. It's a quadra kill for Impact. St. Clair finally going to be able to get themselves on the board here in round number 4. Incredible performance of Impact. Single-handedly winning that round for St. Clair.
Holy moly, that's a kind of momentum shaker that the Saints definitely needed. Getting themselves on the board. On the defensive side of things, Impact, of course, with the quadra kill, you love to see it. And then he is basically taking the position of what Zombie Dude was in game number 1. Zombie Dude, of course, was an absolute, fiend in regards to eliminations, but unfortunately, it just didn't necessarily translate into round victories. But this time, Impact, especially after that quadra, really trying to rile the team up. And the fact that they've got this round much sooner than last time, because remember, I think it was around 6 last time, where they finally got their first win. To get it much sooner means they can try, that they can take this momentum they have on defense and get a couple more rounds out of it, knowing that, yes, this attack is absolutely beatable. We can do this. We just got to translate this now towards the basement for this next time.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I was looking at that attack from Grand Canyon and kind of scratching my head a little bit, seeing Monty be the one to go for the plant. As soon as he went for that, obviously that ride shield not available to provide any coverage, and he got picked off before the defuse went down, and that was really the pivotal moment in that round. Impact recognizing that as soon as that shield was down, able to win out on those gunfights, and took advantage of that huge window. And it's just being able to recognize situations like that and do an incredible job executing on that too. 1 versus 4 is not easy, but Impact really came through for the Saints, and that's going to be a huge clutch moment. Get things going now as we get into round number 5.
Yeah, to my video editors, in regards to best plays of the week, that one from Impact is definitely going to be shown without question. I hope somebody clips that, because that was definitely an awesome moment. But you can see, once again, how Saints can manage to hold this basement defense. Of course, a little bit of electrification, little bit of anti-utility between the Jaeger and the Wamai. So we'll have to see what GCU's plan is this time by.
I gotta say, I love how you're using your opportunity on the caster's desk to drop little notes and tips for your employees. I think that's a beautiful way of taking advantage of the opportunities that we got here. But, it is what it is. We contribute to that content, and it's good stuff that people love to see. You gotta get those Twitter clips, and that's really what Impact's playing for. At the end of the day, doesn't matter if you win or lose, as long as you got the clip, you carry it with you. Now the Saints, hopefully, we would like to see them get another win. Always telling me to stay neutral on these casts, but I want to see my boys pop off, and we've seen it once. Let's see it again. St. Clair on defense still. 2 more rounds until the halftime switch. Can get themselves 1 more round victory under their belt.
A good little play there, actually, from the side of GCU, using the frag grenade and the splash damage, of course, that it has to actually kill off the Cade Electric Claw. That way, the electrification was all gone, so that just meant that CeeLo here on the Hibana could just use the pellets and blow it up, have that hole now available for transportation if necessary. Shots fired on the stairwell. Bonk Bonk gonna get the worst end of that one, but still hangs on by a thread. Never mind, he finds Klimp, so there we go. Good start there for Saints.
A good fake out by Bonk Bonk, getting clipped a little bit, like you mentioned, but taking the turnaround, just going for that pickup onto Klimp, and that's gonna be GCU's top fragger going down very early in this round. They still have the defuse. That's going to be Colo holding on to that as they try to slowly make their way through this basement underground, but so much gas in the way. It's very, very difficult for this Monty to actually approach, and the Saints have full vision on this.
Oh, nice
shot.
shot.
Zombie Dude, I believe, trying to go for that 1v1, but he's going to actually find the double kill. Zombie Dude barely walking away. Just a little bit of life remaining. St. Clair is still 3 versus 2. Gonna make it a 3 versus 1 now with Cash single-handedly trying to make the attack, but St. Clair finds themselves the back-to-back defense. And Zombie Dude, my gosh, we didn't really get to see too much of what else happened in that round, but Zombie Dude popping off in the 1 versus 2 against right through the Riot Shield. Incredible performance from him. I don't even know how he pulled that off, if I'm being honest. I'm looking at that, I'm like, man, that looked impossible.
That was definitely a solid run, but it was also, with Cheeks, maybe a little bit slow to the punch. Because, of course, that's always one of the ways you do try to deal with the Monty who has a player behind them, is you look for when the player that's behind the Monty to peek out to take a shot, you take them down, and then as the Monty, when you realize they're shooting at your buddy, that's when you pull the shield down and you whip the pistol out and you take them out. That being said, though, was a little bit slow to the punch. Zombie Dude was able to flick it right on over, find himself the double, cleaning out any sort of threats from the dirt section, and just made it extremely easy for the Saints to focus in on the next couple areas. And then that last little push there, GCU tried to make something happen, but of course, there's only so much you can do when faced up against a Nitro cell, especially if you can't shoot it out of the air. So, solid job there for Saints, and bringing this one nice and close. No longer are we seeing GCU run away with this.
Yeah, those headshot Okos, of course, are absolutely massive. You can find that early pick. Doesn't matter if the Riot Shield's there, if you've already made the pick that early. So Zombie Dude playing that 1 versus 2 exceptionally well. Love to see the rest of the Saints, find their opportunities like that. It's definitely those cheeky little defensive movements that are going to get you on the scoreboard here. This is the last round before the halftime switch. Got a very narrow scoreboard now, 2 versus 3. Mend back on the Maverick again. We've seen him on it all game, and I'd like to see him, on this offense. He keeps switching it up, and so far they haven't been able to make too much use out of this pick. At least nothing particularly impressive these rounds.
I mean, for playing the supportive role once again, Mend is finding himself a good handful of eliminations here, tied for the top fragger on his squad with 6. So, to be honest, Mend just seems like the all-around mini superstar here on this GCU squad, but at the same time, this entire GCU squad is just absolutely on another level, at least off of game number 1 itself. So I don't want to give Mend an ego boost individually. Let's share the level a little bit here across this GCU squad, as we do see Mend making his way over. Knows one player is right there. We're going to see. I think that's a frag grenade. Sure enough, a little bit too slow. Not going to happen. And here comes the battle.
Yeah, she is going to be able to find the pickup onto Impact, but Zombie Dude does get the refrag, so it's down to 4v4. And Zombie Dude trying to find himself another. He is going to get taken out, however, by Mend as Bonk Bonk finds the pick on the Clips. Big Papa going to find the refrag there. Cash taking out Chars. It's a bloodbath already in this round. Now 2 versus 2. No plant yet. And Cash is going to find a pick onto Bonk Bonk. Big Papa with the refrag onto Cash and Colo. My God, that round was explosive. Let's get away from that. You don't need to see that wide and clear on screen. There's so much good we could talk about in this round, but very well, excellently played. from both teams, really. That was just crazy. All the one-to-ones back and forth. It kind of looked like they were all just a little bit split. And then as soon as the first body dropped, everybody was just flicking like crazy trying to find those kills.
That's
Very
really
hard to keep track of.
That's really too bad there for St. Clair. As soon as it got into that 1v1 situation, as the lone person on defense, just run away. Don't try to find yourself a fight. Don't hunt. They have to plant the diffuser, stay close enough that you can hear the sound cue, but just don't be the one doing the peeking. And unfortunately there for St. Clair,
Exactly.
went hunting, and they were the ones with the disadvantage moving into the room and whatnot, and they just got absolutely blasted. I mean, with the way that round was going, everybody was seeing red, to be fair. It was frag after frag, over and over and over again, one after one another, one for ones all over the place. So I definitely understand seeing red and wanting to go for it, but unfortunately it just was not quite optimal, and it's going to slow things down here for the Saints. Win streak taken down a notch for this time by 4-2 GCU as they now start their turn on defense.
You know, that's kind of why I said it the way I said it, because I just feel like, you know, you just get caught up in the action. There's just so much happening, and all the rest of your teammates are just dropping like flies. Everybody is going down, and you don't really want to be the one to just call it off right when it's getting heated. Unfortunately, losing out on that 1v1 does mean that St. Clair is going to lose that final round on defense. It's going to go into this halftime 2-4. They're just going to give them a little bit more leeway. Obviously, no riot shield available on the side of Grand Canyon University. That's seems to be their biggest strength so far, so St. Clair are going to be able to work themselves around that. No Maverick, though, on the side of St. Clair.
Yeah, opting against it, however, going to maybe pick this Hibon up, try and make that play instead. We do see some shots through the wall here from Impact. Was able to spot Cash out. Going to draw him out, but actually in the meantime, we did see the one elimination here from Bonk Bonk. So, solid start to get this attack underway. Of course, Clubhouse, again, one of the maps that Saints just extremely comfortable with. Been playing it this entire season, basically every single match. So, not an area they're unfamiliar with. Spots out one. That is Cash once again. Cash just needs to run. This spot is not working.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing that flanker and you're trying absolutely everything that you can to find those early picks, but you've already been red. You know, Saints already know what's happening, and you're just over-forcing on that play. To have a little bit more patience to just back right off there. St. Clair slowly making their way through here. They have the sledge. Bonk Bonk going to try to get himself in a little bit closer. Look for an opportunity to break onto that bomb site. St. Clair slowly approaching the point here.
Okay, I see. Bonk Bonk's over there on the drone trying to call out some impact shots from, well, impact on that Zofia. Try and maybe do a little bit of sharking from below on this side of GCU. We're going to see Impact and Bonk Bonk both here looking for an opportunity. So, of course, those holes in very common positions to sit in. Now, with a minute left, we'll have to see if the Saints make a move. We do see the Impact taking a ton of damage, however, hanging on by a thread. So, A-OK there, and Cash is finally getting taken down. What happened there? I have no idea.
Looks like Mend is going to be able to mend him up.
Appropriate.
Yeah, that was good, right? I love when Rainbow Six gives us opportunities to say stupid stuff like that. It's perfect. It's what we do this for.
I can appreciate dad jokes now.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I'm doing it for you, Janners. No one else.
Why, thank you.
We do have Cash back up, ready to go. Klim's gonna lead this fight off strong. That's a one-man down on Zombie Dude, and Tarth is taken out as well by Cheeks. So St. Clair in the 3 versus 4. The defuse does get picked up by Impact. He's going to find the refrag onto Cheeks, and now the 3 versus 3 for St. Clair. Cash still very low from that initial fight. Looks like Impact does have sights on that individual up in the top. Big Papa going to find the pick up onto Klimps there. And it's going to be Impact getting taken out through the wall by Cash. As Big Papa makes his way around the corner, Bonk Bonk rather, finds himself a double kill. It's the 1 versus 1 against men. Bonk Bonk does have the defuse in hand. Big Papa still alive. That is going to be Toxic Gas getting committed, though, however. St. Clair very scared to approach this point. They know he's over around the wall, but they're going to find the shot through the wall. Bonk Bonk rounding it out on round 7.
That's exactly what he needed to do there. Needed to actually hunt that one down. Now that you're on the attacking side, you cannot wait. And if you just went for the plant, he would have just smoked you out. I think he had still one more in the chamber, or that may have been the last one, but either or, planting would have been extremely difficult. As soon as you do it, he would have just probably taken you down anyway. So beautifully done there from St. Clair, bringing this back within 1. The attack has some life in it compared to last game.
Still plenty of opportunities for St. Clair to win this one. It could be the comeback that they need. You know, we always love to see these long, drawn-out Rainbow Six games, but there's more action for us to watch. Love to see that, of course. Now, St. Clair, keeping to a pretty similar strategy, however, on the side of Grand Canyon University, it's going to be Mozzie and Doc getting picked up. They were talking to me a little bit about Mozzie beforehand, but what's Doc doing here? What's he up to?
Okay, so he's the only one who can actually heal here in this game. Has those healing darts that can take somebody from a knocked down state and put them back to like a quarter of their life. But you think healer, you think defensive, supportive, right? But that's actually not what you're probably going to see here from Cheeks. We're probably going to see a bit of a spawn peek play here. Of course, Doc is one of the safest operators to be able to do a spawn peek. So, like, within the first couple seconds of this round going down, you'll probably see him parked near a window, parked near a doorway or something, ready to just try and find somebody right off the spawn. Like, you don't even get to play the game. Just try to get a nice quick kill. And even if he does end up going down to anything that's not a headshot, he can stim himself up with his heal, break him back up, and just like, okay, that play didn't work. That's okay. Let's just go back and heal. I'm curious how this is going to be played. Majority of the time it's offensively, but it could very well still be a rather defensive play, as we do see him basically prone here on the catwalk. But at any point, very well could make the move. More than likely, as soon as I move off him in regards to the camera.
Yeah, as soon as you start talking about it, that's right. Bonk Bonk is going to lead, however, in this fight, taking quite a bit of damage from Clemson, able to get a little bit in return. Start things off nice and slowly. I do think the Cheeks, the Doc pick really fits the style that Grand Canyon likes. They like these utility picks where they really just play for, you know, these long, drawn-out battles and force your opponent to make the aggressive move. And, you know, nothing better than a healer to really solidify that style, even if it's not necessarily ideal or the most optimal approach. Char's can see him getting quite close to Cash there on the side as Big Papa hiding out, trying to get a little bit of vision, maybe scope things out for Char's as he makes his way through this doorway. Cash just hanging out below. They are going to be able to breach through this man-made doorway here. Impact on the Maverick this time around was able to actually burn this through. As Impact going to take quite a bit of damage here. I believe that was from Cheeks. Does get shot out a little bit.
Yeah, Cheeks spots is
the first pick for Cash.
It calls it out, but yeah, for sure, Cash finding a double right now. This is looking beautiful right now for GCU.
Great lead for GCU. That Vigil finding that double kill. You know, we saw that Vigil in that first round on defense. It didn't do too much, but this time it's really popping off, and Klim's able to get a third pick up onto Impact. So it's going to be a 2 versus 5 situation now for St. Clair. Believe they have eyes on Big Papa. Cars is able to find a pick on the Colo, and that's going to be Big Papa winning out the 1v1 versus Klims. He does get tagged down, however, he's quite low now. Cars does still have the defuse in hand, but we can already see those toxic gases starting to get deployed as Char's doing whatever he can to make a little bit of room for Big Papa to break through. 52 seconds left, and I believe there is still one smoke canister remaining. There's going to be a triple kill now for Cash, and the defenders going to come out on the top here. GCU winning this one quite dominantly, going into round number 9, I believe. Now up 5-3.
Okay, that one was a bit weird because that was one of the few times that we actually seen Grand Canyon University lose their patience and try to go hunting, and they almost kind of flipped that one back on their head. Saints nearly brought it back. It was like a 2v3 near the very end of it, but nonetheless, though, Cash finding himself so much more value here on this Vigil, this time by, I think, 3 solid shotgun blasts across the Saints squad, and then Cheeks was in a solid position. It was not necessarily an offensive-based Doc this time. However, just being in a perfect position to basically just monitor multiple places at once. So, still very valuable. We're going to see some 6 picks, a little bit of an older school style that we're going to see coming out here from St. Clair in regards to this Capitao pick. Because before, what you'd probably see a lot, let's see if I can, first off, click on the right screen. I baited myself a little bit, but let's see if we can find the garage door that I'm thinking about, where you would normally stick the Hibana. It would be right here. So the Hibana and the Capitao would normally come around and blow through this door. And then they would, with the fire bolts that Capitao has that can basically just litter the floor, it would go up into the high ground and give themselves a bit of an opening to work with. That being said, though, Normally you see that for CCTV plays. That is not the case. We're in the basement. So I'm curious as to see what they're going to bring here this time by.
I love seeing these off-meta picks. It's a good opportunity for me to get more familiar with the operator roster, but it's also just really fun. You know, when you see characters that you don't often see, kind of get tired of seeing the same 10 ops getting picked every single game, and now we get to see some Capital action. I always love those unique weapons, those crossbows, those blast bolts. It's such a unique way of playing the game. I'm really excited to see what Charters can actually do with this pick. That's going to be Bonk Bonk finding the first pick onto Clems, taking him down very, very early in the round. Only 30 seconds in. Now St. Clair has a man advantage. They got eyes on a second. He's going to shoot through the floor, but he's not going to be able to find that kill. It's going to be Cash taking quite a little bit of heat there in that 1v1.
I'm going to go back into his gadget form, try and find a closet or something to hide in for just a second, try to get the trail off him, so to speak, and then just allow him to keep on roaming through. Bonk Bonk, of course, has the bird's eye view here from above, but the big problem is that they have no entryway into the site, and a lot of times what I do see here from the Saints is they eventually get one of those hatches open and just everybody piles on through, and similarly to what we've seen in game 1 where I just called it the lemmings, they just kind of jump on in and all just get mowed down because the opposing squad would be in position, as we do see Cash actually catching Bonk Bonk out of position, so going to even this up 4-4.
Yeah, now Impact up on top, gonna do Maverick things, try to get himself a nice little pathway from the sky down. You know, you talk about these top-down approaches that the Saints really like to favor, and so far, not working out too well. As Impact gets a little bit too close and is gonna get taken out by Cash. That shotgun blast gonna knock him down almost immediately. St. Clair in the 3 versus 4 here. They're trying to get reestablished, only a minute remaining in the round.
Honestly, massive props to Cash for sticking to this Vigil pick, even though it did not work very well the first time he pulled it out. To stick to your guns and pick the operator again, and this is going to be the second round in a row where it's actually finding some very, very solid value. Going to find himself another one too. Just absolutely crushing it here. You think to yourself, why the heck is there an ACOG on a shotgun? But hey, that's just Siege for you. This shotgun, it might as well be a sniper.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was pretty far out for the headshot, but he really made his way, made it work for him. He's so far all 3 kills in this round. You can take a look at that kill chart. Cash, 15 eliminations for him.
Gosh,
compared to the rest of his team, it's just really insane to think about. I said Claire finally gonna make it onto the point, but Zombie is gonna get dropped immediately, and as you said, the lemons start falling. Ours in the 1 versus 4, he's gonna get spotted out. He's gonna do a little bit of damage here on the cheeks. He's not gonna be able to plant. He fakes the defuse. He's gonna lose out on the second fight as Men cleans that up, and that's gonna be Grand Canyon University winning yet another round here. I believe this puts them to match point.
I do believe that'd be the case, and honestly, solid attempt there from the Saints side of things, considering that was the 2-on-4. Being able to at least try to even up a little bit and nearly found the second elimination.
Yeah.
They probably would have got swamped at that one point, though, because you had one player from above, one player from the side. I don't care how good you are, that is just too difficult to try to deal with sometimes. Or not sometimes, but most of the times. So, as we go to the gym for our third, or not our third, but for our next point, and for possibly the match and set point here against St. Clair. I mean, St. Clair is looking better in this game, but still has a long way to go if they want to keep themselves in this series.
Looks like Zombie is actually going to 6th pick away the Hibana. I can't imagine what he would choose, and it looks like he does end up deciding to stick with it. That's kind of funny. 6th pick your own character. But,
yeah. That's the old, you know what, never mind. Let's stick to this and let's go.
yeah. Is doubling back on that quick. And I think it really speaks to that point you made earlier about how, you know, it's not, you can't blame the operators really at the end of the day for how things play out, because really it comes down to how you execute with that character and how well you understand how that character is supposed to, you know, contribute to your win condition. And so far, I don't think Hibana has necessarily been the problem for St. Clair. I think it's all in all, these rosters look really decent. It's more just about finding your way in and, you know, keeping yourself firmly in line and communicating well. These fights have looked pretty scattered for St. Clair. I'd like to see them, you know, maybe group up and coordinate these just a little bit better here. As Men starting to get all those walls reinforced, make things very difficult for St. Clair to get through.
It just seems like the main issue just feels like a lack of information when moving in on the site. So whether it be just constantly being denied by Mozzies or mutes or whatever it happens to be that GCU is using. And then Cash, oh, you think that area is safe to go into? Never mind, I'm a Vigil. You can't see me. Blast ya with the sniper shotgun, whatever you want to call that thing. Just so difficult to deal with, and it just feels like when you have to kind of go into a site and wing it, it's mixed results and normally not necessarily in your favor.
It's definitely difficult playing without that intel, and Saints have done a much, like you mentioned, they've done a much better job this time around than it's on game number 1. But unfortunately, when you're on match point, that's not what you want to see. Bonk Bonk and Zombie Dude, highest fraggers on St. Clair, going to get taken out very, very early in the round. They do manage to find the bomb, however, but it's a 3 versus 5. All comes down to this. This is the make it or break it for St. Clair. Colo gets dropped fairly low as Chars wall blast him just a little, but it is not enough to take him down. Now St. Clair trying to find their way onto the site. They know where the bomb is located. They just don't know where the players are. Taking that time to get that intel, use those drones. Scope things out a little bit before they make their attack.
The fact that 2 players are already down definitely does dwindle my hopes a little bit here for the St. Clair squad. Going to be a tough, not to crack here for this this GCU defense. You got plenty of still high health bars, which granted, yes, in a one-tap headshot kill kind of game, not necessarily the end of the world, but the positioning here from this GCU squad is very confident. You see Cash once again finding himself elimination, and this is all going to hell. Saints have Chars, and that's it.
That's going to be match point for GCU. Taking a convincing 2-0 versus St. Clair. An incredible performance in this entire team, and you know, yeah, you just really have to give credit to how well this team played. They really messed with the Saints on game number 1. Definitely demoralized them a lot with that Clash pickup. And I just think the Saints had a really difficult time recovering after that. Cash obviously winning MVP on that round, which is leading the kill feed in dominant fashion. 16 eliminations, it's going his way. Incredible performance in this entire team. And you know, we love watching games like this, so big shout out to Grand Canyon University for giving us such an incredible game of Rainbow Six to watch. I definitely felt like I learned a lot. I enjoyed what I watched, and I hope everyone in our chat enjoyed today's game as well. Anders, I really appreciate you giving your insight and helping me, you know, work through this and understand this a little better. Do you have any final thoughts on that matchup to round things out for what you saw tonight?
Just Rainbow Six in general is just one of the more, if not the most, like elaborate and in-depth kind of title that we do have here in regards to just all of the interactions available. Granted, like I know every game can probably argue that they have depth. I'm not saying that other games don't have depth, but this is easily one of the hardest games to pick up and actually like learn from a player's perspective, but also the commentary's perspective. So I want to say, for being a first time here with you on the R6 casting desk, big thank you for joining me, and you did actually very well for a first time by. It's a hard game to cast, and I would not have noticed that this would have been your first time if I didn't say anything. So good job.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because there's always a lot of work to improve. But no, I do appreciate the kind words. To wrap things up, however, I believe we've got a couple of slides we'd like to walk our viewers through here. Usually we take a look at that schedule after those games round out, see what's coming up next on the docket, and it is going to be some Call of Duty action tomorrow at 7 p.m. So make sure you tune into that in the Collegiate Call of Duty League. Then Monday at 7 p.m. some Overwatch play versus gameplay. Make sure to check that out. Going into Tuesday, Rocket League, NECC. Then at 5 p.m. and Wednesday at 8 p.m. some Fortnite in the play versus league. To round things out, some more Overwatch again, 5 p.m. on Thursday in the NECC. Plenty of action here on the Saints Gaming channel. A game every single night of the week. Make sure you guys are here for that. Always a good time. You know, join me and Danners. Join us in on the fun. We love watching these games, love hosting these games. So we'll be here. Love to have you join us as well for those. Yeah, I love seeing all this action on the channel. It's really good.
Absolutely. It's just constant, like, match after match. Granted, a lot of the seasons are starting to slow down a little bit, but oddly enough, some of them are still kind of just getting started. So for at least till I would say mid to end of May, we should still be having multiple matches per week, if not one match still every single day. And even when we aren't necessarily live, we'll make sure that there's still plenty of content on the channel as well, whether it be here on the Twitch channel as well as the YouTube. It's been something that we've been kind of taking a look at a little bit more at the end of this semester, whether it be getting to know your players and coaches, or even doing some highlight reels, just trying our best to kind of up our game here in regards to the St. Clair Saints varsity esports side of things, whether it be knowledge, whether it be matches. It's just getting started, so definitely want to give the shout out in regards to following us here on Twitch, and then the sub onto YouTube as well would definitely mean a ton. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. We big thank you to everyone, of course, for supporting these channels. If we didn't have people to watch our content, then we wouldn't have the resources to make it, and we love making it. We love that you guys enjoy it. So thank you again so much for supporting our content, whether it be on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, wherever it may be. And of course, a big thank you to the sponsors of our stream for allowing us to host these broadcasts, every single night of the week. So of course, shout outs to St. Clair College Alumni Association, PC Outlet, Stackelman School of Business and IT, St. Clair College, Tim Hortons, and the St. Clair SRC. Thank you all once again for giving us these opportunities to do this stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And of course, well, you mentioned it already, but big thank you for tuning in. I mentioned supporting the broadcast, but also for supporting your teams here. I know this one, especially the last couple of weeks here, it's been rather rough for especially the R6 squad, but still seeing everybody come on and out and supporting the squad. They had themselves a very tough league. Of course, they made it into the Premier side and not the Open side this time by. So this means, like I was saying at the very beginning of the series, that they're up against the top collegiate competition. And unfortunately, it seems like they're falling a little bit short this season. It doesn't mean that they can't come back swinging, whether in Premier again or whether they do end up dropping to Open. We'll have to see, because of course this was the season finale. And the record, don't have the exact record, but we'll definitely get you the update on our Twitter. So again, another thing to follow now that I think about it. But
yeah, just follow everything. Just search
all
us
the
up
things.
Everywhere you go. All the things. Just get us on all the things. And one more thing that you could definitely get us on, or at least something that we could get for you, if you want to take a look at our merchandise line that we've got brand new this year. Of course, that is going to be our Saints merch drop. We've got face masks, jerseys, sweaters, jackets, the whole 9 yards, and they all look fantastic. Definitely get yourself some of that. If you're interested, of course, make sure to check out the website at acquire.ca/saints. If you'd like to purchase yourself some of that swag, I'm sure you've seen plenty of my codecasters all up in the drip when they show up for casting night, and it looks phenomenal. So grab yourself some of that. The link, where to find it. And yeah, make sure to, it supports this program, it supports us, and it looks great too. So, it's a win-win for everyone, really.
Absolutely. And the last thing that I'm going to shout out in regards to or to the program itself is actually in regards to recruitment, because it is never too early. You may notice, if you are following our Twitter right now or you take a look at it, we're already announcing players for the September 2021 season. That being said, if you think you got what it takes, make sure you apply below on our website, stclairsaints.ca/join. Get the application in there. If you are of the quality that the coach seems fit, you shall be contacted on Discord. And then if you are also, it wasn't on that slide, but I'll mention it here, if you are also looking to level up your production, whether it be behind the scenes or as a commentator, similar to what Shadi and I are doing right here, right now, join our Discord and send me a message and we can look into some volunteer opportunities to level you up. With that being said, I think we're just about good to close on out here for today. Unfortunately, Saints are going to fall in 2-0 fashion. Again, one more time, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Shadi, for joining me here on the R6 desk. It is very weird to not be soloing this broadcast, so thank you once again. And with that, we shall close out. So I will see everybody here tomorrow at 7 for some Activision Blizzard Call of Duty.